Welcome to the Extraco Consulting podcast. My name is Jason Dias, and on this episode, we're talking about interactive teller machines with Extraco Consulting President Lindsay Green. Tailored solutions, proven methods, tangible results. Ongoing COVID-19 restrictions required us to do this interview over the phone, so you will hear a little difference in the audio.
You know, Lindsay, I think COVID-19 has accelerated trends that were happening anyway, and one of those is the interactive teller machines. I think they are the perfect balance of, human touch and technology. Tell us about that.
Well, I have to agree with you. It was already apparent that financial institutions had to invest in interactive digital channels just to be able to service customers remotely and not just part of their disaster recovery plan, but honestly to reach customers that had shifted their preferences because delivery channels in other industries had already changed and that convenience expectation was already there. So it just magnified even more how important and imperative that change was due to COVID-19 and social distancing, preferences and how customers want to interact. And so video teller machines, they allow customers to have that face-to-face interaction at the ATM, whether it's located at a branch or in a remote area. Either way, it really works. And so the best part is the employees that support the video teller, that face-to-face interaction, it can work from anywhere. And you're almost guaranteed, that you don't have to be near the location of the video teller. And some of our clients that had already invested in the technology, they deployed video tellers, especially the ones with robust call centers that had maybe universal bankers that can perform almost, if not all, functions that a customer may need. They were a step ahead of the game. They needed to transition their business models to support the new environment, and it wasn't as complicated for them to make that transition.
Well, I got to say, something you just said, how we've all become accustomed to things, and in some things, I don't want to go back. I've got to tell you, just between you and me, I love going up to Target, staying in the car, and they bring stuff out to you. Now, for me, it's purely selfishness because my wife's not in the store picking out other things that were not on the list. I've got to say COVID-19's probably saved me $10,000 at Target. But you're right. Our behavior has changed and it's been modified by the virus. But I love what you said about that flexibility in staffing, that you can have people working at a headquarters building for a banking brand and be supporting branches and customers and members all over the place. That is a scalability that we probably couldn't have imagined 10 years ago, right?
Oh, so true, without a doubt. And, it doesn't even just have to be at a headquarters anymore. It can be that they're actually working from home and able to do the video conferencing, based on everything and, obviously depending upon setup. But the video tellers, they give you the option to choose self-service, or you can do basically a controlled transaction by the banker, and it can actually allow the employee to complete the transaction, or they can even educate the customer on how to complete it because they can see the screen. And that customer education is huge. And so, that employee can be anywhere and support the customer and training them on the new technology to help them get comfortable. And you don't have to be standing side by side, to make that happen. So there's a lot of flexibility in that, and I will say there's true efficiency behind it for a lot of our clients. Some of them have a ratio of 1 employee to 4 machines, to support their area, and that's huge, to be able to have that, your ROI, you're able to actually build that out. Now, of course, that all depends upon their setup and their support area and what functions the employees can perform, but that's a wonderful return on investment.
I've said to many people during the pandemic that, I've worked at home for 20 years and more. However, when I was making that long drive from my home to an office building in San Antonio, had my employer said, hey, if you'll take a $5,000 cut in salary, we'll let you work from home, I would have taken it immediately. The time itself would have been worth more than the money. So to your point, the ROI factor there, it might give these banking brands the opportunity to make, better financial choices, because we're all going to be struggling with shrinking margins over the next foreseeable future. And so that's just another tremendous advantage of the ITMs. Now, I know Extraco Consulting can help any banking brand deploy ITMs with y'all's tremendous knowledge about how to use them effectively, correct? Because you see it happening all the time with Extraco banks.
Very true. Our affiliate, yes, started that journey, back in 2016 with the current models that they have, and a lot of research even prior to that. But yes, we have a multitude of clients that we support with either brand new implementations or even ones that have implemented the technology and they're really honestly still looking to achieve that ultimate ROI that they want to be at, or maybe their customer experience goals, and maybe it's employee training, whatever that may be. Mm-hmm. So we can help with the strategic plan for the technology, including like the optimal placement and looking at customer demographics to determine the best areas for adoption. We can assist with operational support, from writing the balancing procedures to helping with guiding on setup parameters. The training side of it, we don't do necessarily the technical training. The manufacturer provides that technical training, and we're kind of that one layer above, because who better than the manufacturer, considering they made the technology to train, your employees on it.
Exactly.
But we work with the employee awareness side, and there's lots of role play scenarios, and it helps get the employees comfortable during that testing phase to truly aid the customer in that change management. I think the change management side is a little easier now with COVID, but it's still there.
Oh, yes, it is still there, and it is a change if you're accustomed to going in and speaking to somebody face-to-face. But the thing you said about training I found very interesting, because we have to be honest. There are some people in the past, when you said 2016, that feels like 100 years ago right now.
It does.
But there were some people in the past who were drawn to the call center environment, the call center career path, because they didn't want to have that interaction with the customers and the members and the clients. Mm-hmm. The ITMs changes that dynamic where, you can see confusion in a customer's face in that screen. You can see frustration, and you can see things that you can't always hear. So my guess is it's compelling these banking brands that deploy ITMs to rethink the kind of people they're hiring. And of course, Extraco Consulting can help with all of that training. That's just the great thing about Extraco Consulting. You can do it all, basically.
Very true. You're right. We can, and we get asked to do that quite often.
Well, as we get going here with more and more episodes, I was so glad we could talk about this, because I do remember one of my favorite movies from back in the 80s was Aliens, and there's a scene where they talk through these little screens, and I thought, wow, that is so futuristic. Well, the future of banking is right now, thanks to COVID-19. I know the folks at Extraco Consulting are doing everything they can to help banking brands deal with the coronavirus, and if a banking brand is interested in deploying ITMs, what's the best thing for them to do? What's the best way to contact Extraco Consulting?
Well, you can go to our website. There's a lot of information about it, or just pick up the phone and, give us a call. Either way works for us.
Her name is Lindsay Green. She is the president of Extraco Consulting, and we thank her so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And thank you for listening to the Extraco Consulting podcast. Extraco Consulting, tailored solutions, proven methods, tangible results. Stay tuned for future episodes, and we will talk to you soon.